All right.
uh, that line was so funny.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
All right. Folks, we are live, and this is the Horror Hangout live stream. And with us, as always, is the Horror Miser Monty G.
Yay.
We got Trivial Theater in the house.
Hello.
We got the Trash Picture Show.
Yay.
Yep.
And we got Jen and hopefully Velvet over at Jen's Reviews from the Grave.
Thank you.
And our special guest this month is Mr. Meathook.
Hello.
Yay.
So I'm just hoping we don't get kicked off YouTube today because we got some pretty heavy duty stuff. It's a little outside the box and stuff like we usually do, but I thought it was something that's a topic that's pretty important, you know, and I was very curious to hear everyone's thoughts on it, you know. And you know, we've all been doing this a long time now, right? You know, so I think it's pretty relevant, you know. So with that being said, let's start off with our first subject of the evening. It's going to be the thoughts on the Chris Stuckman controversy that's been going on. He made a video called, you know, I have to talk about this, and he had the poster of the Madam Web movie on the, you know, thumbnail, and, you know, but he decided not to actually do a review of the film Madam Web. He chose to kind of instead make a statement about how film studio interference can kind of derail a director or a writer's creative vision of a film, and it can really affect the outcome. And he was kind of doing that from the point of view, I think, being an independent filmmaker himself. He's got a movie coming out soon, you know. So he decided, you know, going forward, he's going to be his channel's more about film celebration rather than, you know, being a critic per se, a film critic per se. So what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you think he made some valid points on that, or do you feel like he was misguided in that video he came out with? Let's start with you, Monty.
Very interesting. I remember when I first started watching Chris Stuckman, and he talked about how he began his channel and his love for movies, and how he and his friends would reenact scenes of some of his favorite movies, and how he eventually, you know, started getting a huge following, and he eventually became a very popular and very supported YouTube, I guess you'd say, YouTuber. You know, it's got to the point where he now has over, I think, 2 million subscribers. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people enjoyed were his bashing or ranting about bad movies. In fact, he even decided to create a part of that called his Herolosity of films reviews. He really just went on the town, especially Dragon Ball Z Evolution.
Oh, he hated that so much.
Because he was, he was a huge fan of the anime series, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are a huge fan of the anime series. And unfortunately, that crap that I never saw it, but whatever they did to that film, I guess was a total insult to the fans of the people who love the anime series, and that's the reason why he trashed it so much and how bad it was. Now, I guess when he decided to become a filmmaker and he decided that he didn't want to rub people the wrong way. I mean, put it this way, it's his channel. He can do what the hell he wants with it. I can, no, that's up to him. He can do what he wants. That's your channel. Unfortunately, if you're going to not be a movie critic, but you still should at least still pay respect to, I can say, all the people who have subscribed to your channel, because they do still come to your channel because they do take your word when you make a review about a movie they might want to go see. So I don't think he should be afraid of that, despite how, whether he thought Madam Web was good or bad. But I can understand the reason why he did it. I mean, that's his channel. He can do what he wants with it, And even, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Madam Web, it's not the worst superhero film I've seen. They'll say Thor: Love and Thunder was a bad movie, but obviously whatever happened or what they decided to do with Madam Web, it's like, I don't know what Sony was thinking. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if you can fault it. You can, whether there was studio interference or not, you still had a poorly directed film. You had a poorly acted by Dakota Johnson, poorly edited. And obviously some of the stuff that happened in the film was definitely Sony's fault, because you got Pepsi products all over the place.
Isn't that most Spider-Man movies? I thought they all had massive Pepsi product placement.
No. Trust me, it was definitely in this particular, especially in the third act.
Yeah. Well, it needed more caffeine to get its ass in gear.
Yeah, but like I said, it was... It had... I guess it had an interesting premise, because, like I said before, most, we all know the Madam Web character because we read the Spider-Man comics, but it's like that. They decided to go a more younger route with the Spider, because we all know she's an older woman and she's obviously invalid. They decided to go a more younger version of the character, and I had no problem with that. I like the fact that they decided to bring in 3 women who are now known as all Spider Women. In the Spider-Man mythos. I had no problem with that neither. It's just that I'm like, what are you guys doing? Okay. And it's like, oh, well, what are you going to do? But, as far as Chris Stuckman is concerned, that's his channel. He can do what he wants with it. I know some of the responses I've heard on one person's channel that talked. I think since he made that video, he's lost over 100,000 subscribers because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine to have that much to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that
he's,
probably barely
like a
puts a
lot.
dent in it.
I mean, he's like I said, he had over 2 million subscribers, so he's not going to feel anything.
Okay, so let's hear from our esteemed guest this month, Mr. Meathook, on the matter.
All right, so full disclosure, I was today years old when I even heard of Chris Stuckman.
I love that.
I'm not surprised about that.
I have no idea who he is. I really don't know what he said. And I don't consider myself a film critic. I love movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly bad movies. That's my jam, is bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
But as someone that used to review movies, and if it was bad, I would just crap. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, so I would just crap all over it. And like, I realize now it's a team of people that have to make a movie. It's not just the director or the writer or whatever. It's a whole group of people. So even if I dislike a movie, I will try to find something positive to say about it. Mm-hmm. And if I can't, I just won't review it.
Good points.
Very excellent.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's like this.
Also, like, until about a week ago, when everyone started talking about how bad Madam Web was, I didn't even know they were making a Madam Web movie. Because I'll be honest, I've given up on superhero movies because I don't think that there's my personal opinion, outside of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I don't think there's been a good Marvel movie since Infinity War. I thought Endgame was
Wow.
atrocious.
Yeah.
I hated Infinity War almost as much as I hated I forget what other one I didn't like.
Endgame.
Yeah, I hated Endgame, but
One of the Thor movies.
I mean, you mean the first two Thor movies? They were both
Yeah.
awful.
That's point taken. Point taken. Sorry.
See, that's why I always love Darryl in his reviews, because what a lot of people love, he doesn't like. He'll let you know it too.
And also, like, I know this is a super unpopular opinion, but I despise the first Doctor Strange movie.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
I can see that.
And I know a lot of people love it, and I'm like, I get a lot of hate for hating that movie, but yeah, I'd rather watch the second one, which I thought was a better movie.
Mhm.
But I also just don't like the character of Stephen Strange.
Oh, okay. Is it because a lot of people really don't know that much about Stephen Strange, because
I mean, I also don't like Benadryl Cumberbund.
oh.
He does have the most riffable name known to.
You think that's controversial? Look at this guy's comment.
That's Rick.
Into the wrong fucking stream, bud. You came to the wrong fucking stream.
Those are fighting words.
But yeah, like, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's his channel. He can say whatever the hell he wants. If he wants to just rip on a movie, that's his prerogative. If he chooses to not review a movie because he thinks it has absolutely zero redeeming qualities, also his prerogative.
Mm-hmm. Did you like him in the Star Trek film?
Into
Which one was he in?
Darkness. Into
Khan,
Darkness.
he
The
played
second of the
Khan.
new ones.
Is that the third one?
That's
Is
the
that
second
newest one.
Second one.
The second one.
Yeah, second one.
I know out of the newest three, I saw the first one. I don't remember if I saw the second one. I know I didn't see the third one.
Oh, okay.
It was basically a remake of The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. It was a remake of The Wrath of Khan. Because
Okay, then yes, I did see it, but I don't even remember him being in it. So I guess he was forgettable.
I guess that's not good.
Oh man, I was so because it had some good qualities in it, but then when I saw where it was going, I said, "Wait a minute, I've seen this movie. Wait a minute, this is Wrath of Khan. Why are they replaying this again?" And then you got Spock saying Khan instead of it's like I was like, "Oh man, please come on, guys, y'all can't come up with something better than this, rehashing old stuff."
I mean, it's what studios do.
Yeah.
I kind of liked the film, but what made me mad is that they lied about it and said, no, this is not a remake of Wrath of Khan. I'm like, obviously it is.
It was supposed to be Benicio del Toro as Khan, and he started fucking blabbing he was Khan. So instead of getting another darker skinned actor, they're like, we better throw off the trail. So let's get the whitest motherfucker to play the brownest motherfucker in this movie, which I think is hilarious. I like Star Trek Into Darkness. I like the idea that this is an alternate universe where shit happens in reverse. Where it's fucking, I know that's like a loaded fucking opinion, but I like the fact that it's Kirk who fucking buys it, and it's Spock who has to go off and save the ship. I like that.
I like Never Say Never Again.
That was an okay movie. It was nice seeing Sean Connery back as Bond, even though it really wasn't part of the Bond continuity, was some type of a different version of Bond. It was nice seeing Sean Connery back in as James Bond, but it's like it was okay.
It was a remake of Thunderball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Next up, how about the Trash Picture Show? What'd you think about it?
As the guy said, if the dude wants to review lesbian pandas on his fucking channel, he's more than free to do that. But here's the thing that seals it for me. Chris Stuckman has been always incredibly candid about his life. He talked about him being kind of openly bisexual. He talked about the abuse he got when he was part of the Jehovah's Witness. Is he has been very candid. He's been through the rigor, and through all that, he's kept this upbeat persona. And one thing I think anyone who suffered with depression or anxiety or any kind of mental health can attest to: life is too fucking short. Just focus on the things that make you happy. And if he wants to review movies that makes him happy, so fucking be it.
Mhm.
The whole Madam Web thing, look, I think it wouldn't make a difference. Everyone said all there is to be said about that movie. I said it once and I'll say it again. Chris Stuckman reviewing that movie would be like a food critic going into fucking Burger King and going, this Whopper tastes like shit. It would make no fucking difference, high up or low down. So I gotta give him props. I gotta say, do what makes you fucking happy. I always tell Jen this. I got into doing videos because for me it was an escape. It was an escape from the daily grind. I don't do drama, guys. I don't do bullshit, and I can totally understand why he's focusing on doing what he wants to do. That's just my thoughts.
Good
Mhm.
thoughts.
A good way to put it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Dice rolling in the house. How's it going?
Yes.
Hey,
Bonjour,
Dice.
Dice.
Good evening. How are you?
Dice was on our show last month.
Yes.
Brilliant
Cass,
as
I'm
ever.
not hating on Whoppers. I'm just saying you, a food critic, wouldn't be reviewing fucking Whoppers. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Yeah,
They're so
there
good, though.
was only one thing I didn't like. There was a bunch of nitwits decided to I think they nitpicked on. I guess they just wanted to enjoy bashing and said every negative thing that in that video. I said that's not the whole purpose of you doing that. I guess you just wanted to say negative stuff about him. It's like I said, just like we said, just like Cody Leach said, and everyone else said, that's his channel. That's what he wants to do.
Oh yeah,
That's
Right.
right. Mm.
It's prerogative.
absolutely so.
And one thing I thought about it was, I actually respect his opinion a lot, but I did disagree with him on a couple things. But that's my prerogative, isn't it? Because it's my channel, right?
Absolutely.
100%.
And that's the thing that I think drew us all to YouTube was the ability to kind of say our piece in a a non everything sucks way. We come here to talk about movies, and you get outside of that, and there are people that are there just for drama, and they probably had built up all that stuff about him specifically, and this is a chance to fire back.
Yeah.
Right.
People are going to do that regardless, and Chris Stuckman is one of those guys that I think he can be derisive just because of some of his opinions about stuff. And not to say he's even that far outside the gate. He's just, he's a big enough YouTuber where people are going to go and do the thing. But like, even with the title of his thing, I think he probably saw the opportunity to talk about that. Because, I mean, we can even sit here and talk about how, studios, they do, like, look at WB, all the crap that they've pulled, with Coyote versus Acme, or Batgirl, or what was the other one? The Scooby-Doo one, the Christmas one. It's obvious that there's that point. And as someone that can see both sides of it, I think he made some interesting points, being able to have that both sides and to be a little bit more established filmmaker. But even with the title, like saying, oh, it's a Madam Web review, but it's not a Madam Web review. I mean, that's kind of a classic clickbait title that she would get people to come in, and then it's like, well, we're talking this, but we're not talking this.
Yeah.
It kind of blew out of proportion without really
Because
needing
some people did accuse him of clickbaiting.
Yes.
But that's part of
true.
YouTube. I mean, I suck at it, but most YouTubers of note are that size. I think that's the fact that he doesn't do it more is probably surprising.
True.
You don't get to 2 million subscribers without clickbaiting.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-mm.
And it worked, man. A lot of people watched it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah, it got a lot of views.
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Would you say too that, like, God, I lost my train of thought. Oh, because people were there was so much kind of like, oh, this is the worst movie ever, all that kind of stuff. To have someone take more of a general view at that size, do you think that probably drove a lot of like drama to his channel?
I think it was more of, I guess, I don't know if they actually saw the video where he made the statement that he says, I'm no longer going to criticize movies anymore. I'm just going to talk about films that I enjoy watching. I'm no longer going to say anything bad. I don't know if anyone saw that video or they missed it. And I think that's where he got the flack from. Because I remember when he's made that video, and then I never saw him criticize any more movies after he made that video. And a lot of people said, well, that's the reason what made him so. That's the reason why a lot of people saw his videos, and that's how his subscription grew, was because of the fact that, if there was a bad movie, then he would say, this is a bad movie. So they thought he was being hypocritical.
Yeah, I think that was Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if some people who were criticizing him even watched the video and actually listened to what he had to say, or just wanted to I think some people are here just to cause stuff and to, not everybody, but some people.
No, that's very true. Like, there are people that are just, whether you call them trolls or drama like people that enjoy drama and go hardcore and do it or whatever it might be.
Yeah, any community you go into, there's always going to be shit stars.
Oh yeah,
any community.
And whether that be, because you know what, there are genuine criticisms that can be applied to him, just like there can be to any of us as YouTubers, as people, whatever. But you're still going to have those people that, oh, there's a chance for drama, let's go to town,
Some people, that's the only reason people watch that channel, because all that stuff's about drama and stuff,
Exactly.
Hey, whatever works for you. How about you, Jen and Velvet? What are your thoughts on the matter?
You go first.
All right. I like Chris Stuckman. I think he's a good dude, and you can't argue. Like, the numbers are there. Whatever he's doing, whether you like him or not, those numbers are there. He's doing something right. One thing I think about this whole controversy is people need to make up their own minds. Yes, we love talking about film, and I consider myself both. This channel is both film celebration, but reviews. That's part of what's in my name. So I do consider myself, albeit a very small critic. Like, I don't know a lot, but I know a little bit, and I do consider myself a little bit of a critic. And I think people need to listen to their own things. Like, you can gel with people and go, okay, they kind of have opinions like mine, but it's okay not to have the same opinions. And unless they're being a complete and utter dick, I like having discourse. I like talking and going back and forth. And I think that's something that this community has lost. If you are not on my side on every movie, then you suck, or you're a fake horror fan. And there's so much toxicity. This is a great community. I'm not bashing anybody, but I've also seen a lot of negative bullshit, and I think they've just kind of come after him. And that's his channel. Like everybody has said, it is his channel. He can do whatever he wants. And why? Let the guy be. If he wants to just do put positivity out there, more power to him. There's plenty of channels. If you want to go for negativity, God knows there's enough channels for that.
No, most
go watch Jeremy Johns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having my problem is if there's a dick, like the people that all turn and if they're just being dicks to be dicks, and not giving valid criticisms, or it seems like their criticism isn't their own. That's where I have the problem, and I don't get any disingenuousness from the guy. I think he's just a guy he's trying to break into the film industry, and this is something Mr. Meathook would know way better than I would about, but it's hard. I imagine it's fucking hard, and he's trying to, ingratiate himself in both worlds.
Yeah.
And I think he was just trying to make a point, and I think some people were there to hate no matter what he was going to say.
I also feel like he has a semi-valid point about people don't really take into account how much studio meddling really can affect a film. I know this is something we'll get into a little bit later, but that's something a lot of people really don't take into account a lot of the time. It can't always be an excuse. Sometimes the movie's just bad due to poor filmmaking, lack of interest in the project, much like with Madam Wen, where very obviously Dakota Johnson just did not give a fuck about this movie whatsoever.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's very obvious. She just does not care about this movie whatsoever. Watch the press tour. It's one of the greatest press tours in movie history, just for how little she cares about the goddamn film.
Hey, at least I'll give Sydney Sweeney credit. She actually made a joke about it when she was on Saturday Night Live on this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the thing I always had with Stuckman is I've never I like the dude. I think he's one of the critics who genuinely knows what he's talking about when it comes to film. Dude knows how to talk about and analyze film, which a lot of his copycats don't necessarily, or the people inspired by him don't necessarily know how to do a lot of the time. I notice a lot of them are just sort of parodying what they heard Stuckman say or what they think Stuckman would say in this situation, as opposed to giving up their actual genuine opinion.
You brought up a very interesting thing with Evil Lurks.
Yeah, I noticed that was a big thing. Like, not to say people can't like Evil Lurks at all, but I noticed as soon as that movie, nobody talked about that film. Stuckman did a video on it. Everybody started talking about that film, even people who don't talk about horror movies traditionally, and they all said similar things to Stuckman. Not every single person out there. There are definitely a lot of people who just genuinely really like the film, but I do feel like there was a lot of people who were just saying it because Stuckman said it was the best horror movie of the year, therefore that has to be true.
Yeah. And you don't have to. I think you can respect and admire. There are people I respect and admire and try to learn things from, but you've also got to listen to your own opinions. And I think sometimes YouTube is like, are we telling people what y'all should think? Because that's not what we're trying to do. Or at least that's what I think anyone here isn't trying to do.
I think a lot of it also,
speaking for everyone,
a lot of it also comes down to is just people don't have time to sit down and watch a movie sometimes, or even just sit down and really think about and analyze a film or anything. So they'll a lot of times you'll have people who just go to whatever blank critic that they follow says and just even maybe not even watch the movie, but just repeat what they say when asked about it, just because I usually agree with this guy, so I'll probably feel the same way with them about this movie and haven't never seen it, just because they don't have time. They have work, they have family, they have social lives, they have the crippling
sex business.
They have the crippling anxiety of just trying to survive in the modern day. They don't have time to watch every shitty Marvel movie or every shitty movie or every good movie that comes out.
Well, and you see a lot of those same arguments, and it's not quite the same thing, but, there's the constant argument about things like Rotten Tomatoes and how, and say what you will, you know what, there's still critics that get aggregated on there, and, right, wrong, or indifferent, you still have to make your own decisions when it comes to that, whether you're a critic looking at what other people are saying or whether you're just someone that's going to see a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. As pretentious as it sounds, film to me is always always has to have an emotional quality to it, to a person, and just automatically giving movies like an arbitrary number score, an arbitrary letter rating or something never really felt right for me honestly, when it comes to like the Rotten Tomatoes score, aggregate score and everything. It just feels wrong because you're just coming down to like, okay, the masses generally like this, going to this arbitrary number, this percent of the critic population likes it, so therefore there you go, as opposed to like, that doesn't really give you any meaningful opinion about the movie or what you might actually feel about the film.
True.
Well said.
Excellent points.
Also hallelujah.
Amen.
If I could raise my arms, I'd be shaking them. Thank you. I appreciate the assist.
I'll say an example. There was a critic that I follow quite a bit, and he's one of my favorites, and he ripped the hell out of one of my favorite movies of all time, and I got all and I messaged about it in the chat, and we had a big discussion about it, and it was pretty interesting. We had a very intelligent conversation. We were able to go back and forth. Well, I thought this was good, but this was, it was interesting, and I totally respect his opinion. I don't agree with it, but I respect it, because he made so many points that were eloquent and well thought out and researched. They made a lot of sense. I don't agree with it, but
I feel like that's
I get your point,
a lot of the time of people forgetting the fact that you can still have issues or acknowledge problems with stuff and still like it. I love plenty of terrible, objectively terrible movies, and I acknowledge they're not good movies, but I enjoy them, or there's elements I can enjoy them. Even movies I really love, I can point out flaws and issues.
But they still mean something.
Yeah,
to you.
because they have that emotional quality to me, or they have some sort of I have some sort of connection, or I just genuinely enjoy them as a piece of art. Like as a massive John Waters nerd, I can't go around saying, "Oh yeah, every movie John Waters has ever made is absolutely perfect, zero flaws." Absolutely not. Is he still my favorite director, and do I still love pretty much all of his movies? Yeah. You can love things and still also acknowledge the flaws and the inherent flaws in them.
No, bro, you're wrong.
Exactly.
But that's the thing that kills me is the fact that like it's like being strictly Democrat or strictly Republican. It's become like such a personality thing. Like, oh, you don't like every single Star Wars movie ever made? Well, you're wrong and terrible. It's like people are made of we are nuanced as individuals.
Mhm.
And to say, you know what,
Yeah.
or we're multifaceted. You can, like you said, you can see I can love the production on a movie or the passion that went in behind it. That doesn't mean that something like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter is a good movie,
No, it doesn't. It means it's a perfect movie.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, that
Chocolate
actually
ice cream.
is a good example, because you can see that the film director and everyone else were very focused on trying to make a good movie, even though they have limited budgeted and what time they were shooting. You could see that they were really trying to make a good, decent movie. You can see that passion in everybody, especially the lead actor. They really tried. And that's what I really appreciated when it comes to independent horror films or independent films together. Because if you're passionate about your project, then you're going to try to do your damage to make a pretty good film. Despite the limited budget that you're probably going to have, which obviously is money.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Some of your best films are the ones that are, don't have a lot, behind them, but has so much. They come through. Like I think this might sound a little corny, but I think your heart and passion can come through to the screen, no matter how limited of their budget it does.
Oh, great. That's a huge part of it. Like the best directors, regardless of budget, whether you're talking Denis Villeneuve or Ed Wood, there was a passion to what they do.
Todd Sheets is another one.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
a lot of directors like that.
Great point. Excellent points, guys. Really enjoyed hearing your thoughts on that. Next topic is: do you consider yourself a film critic, and or is your channel more about film celebration, trivial theater?
Oh god. So I have a complicated relationship. I don't. People tell me I review films. I have no idea what I do. I lay out a goofy summary and then go into some of the stuff behind it. So in theory, yes, but also in theory, I have no damn idea what I am.
Brilliant.
No, hardly. But I don't. I'm definitely not a critic. I suppose I'm an armchair reviewer at best. But yeah, so whatever that says.
How about you, Marty?
I just enjoy films, and I review what I like, and if I don't like it, I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, I ain't gonna waste my time with that. And I think it's just going back to what Stuckman's doing. It's like, life is short enough as it is. You might as well do something you fucking enjoy. And if Christ Almighty, I just. If suddenly I wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to review Hitch, I'd fucking put a bullet in my fucking head. I'm going to review the movies I like. I'm going to enjoy them. They may not be fucking good movies. I mean, for Christ's sake, I'm excited about doing a review of Hawk the Slayer, and that's
nice
a fucking movie. So I am someone who enjoys cinema in all shapes and sizes and gives my opinion. I don't criticize, I just appreciate.
Okay. How about you, Monty G?
Well, it seems like for some reason people love my rants. I don't know why. I try not to rant. The one thing
Everybody loves a good rant.
I know everyone loves when I rant, probably because I come up so easygoing and very friendly. So when I do a rant, it's like, wow, Monty G's mad. It's not that I'm just mad. And the one thing I've always stated, the fact is, I never say I hated a movie because I think hate is a very strong word.
Mhm.
It's better that, okay, the movie was bad, plain and simple. That's it, you know. And I know people who subscribe to my channel know I'm going to give my honest opinion about what I thought about the film, what I enjoyed about the film, what I didn't like about the film. Even some of the films I ranted on, or I said they were bad, or I actually didn't give a single gold coin to, I still tried to find something a little positive about the film. So I said, well,
Yeah.
this was the best thing about the film, and then I go on what I didn't like about the film, you know. But I never really say I hate it because like I say, hate is just a strong word, you know. Some people say, well, you hated this movie. I says, no, I didn't hate the movie. It's just a bad movie. I mean, it's that.
Mhm.
But for me, I really don't consider myself a film critic. I didn't go to journalism school. I don't know the ins and out about filmmaking or, any other things when it comes to actually being a film critic. I'm just doing this, hey, this is a film I saw. This is what I thought about the film. This is what I liked about it. This is what I didn't like about it. And here's how many gold coins I'm going to give it.
Mhm.
Very cool.
I love your rating system.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
being a
Jen,
mind,
then, go ahead, Monty. I'm sorry.
being a miser, then you got to have my gold coins.
All
Mhm.
right, Jen and Velvet. What do you guys think?
Well, of course, I'm a film critic. I'm the only one on this interwebland that delves into the metaphors and
Jen, we watched Let My Puppets Come. Don't bullshit anyone here, okay?
Yeah,
Jesus
you
Christ.
review a puppet porno.
You're the
You don't have room to talk.
professionalist.
I'm just
Professional.
kidding. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, first and foremost, I love film. You guys are all cinephiles. I just know a little bit about horror, but I love horror. It's my jam. I love all types of horror. I love all subgenres of horror. But for my channel, Jen's Reviews from the Grave, reviews is part of it. So, and I'm not a professional critic, but I will give you my honest and really well thought out opinion on something, particularly corpse fucking movies. That seems to be my jam. But
a hell of a
I
niche.
really, yeah, that's my niche. But I also like to one thing that turns me off about some reviewers is wall negativity. Like, sometimes we have to criticize things, and because how else are things going to get better?
Yeah.
On the other hand, I always try to be mindful that these people put their blood, sweat, and tears in it. And even if the movie is something I really don't like, I always try to find at least one thing I can give a praise to. Sometimes that's easier than other films, but I always try to be mindful that these actors, this director, this writer, whoever else is behind it, they have feelings as tender as my own. But I also want to be honest. It's a hard line to walk, but you're going to get honesty on this channel.
It's really goddamn
without being a dick.
It's really goddamn hard to make a movie at the end of the day. So
Yes.
got to take some of that into it.
And God knows I've never done it.
Yeah. You and me, that's kind of do look a little bit different. I look at it at myself more or less as like a critic or anything as that. I kind of view it as like your buddy at a video rental store giving you recommendations or just talking shit with you about whatever release or whatever thing of that. That's kind of how that's kind of how I more so view myself talking about film online as opposed to like a critic. I don't really think of myself as that. Like, sure, I'll tell you like what doesn't work about it, but I never really would call myself a critic or anything of that ilk in the professional
I do
whatsoever. I just look at like, yeah, I just am an asshole here giving you my opinion. You either agree with me or you don't. You go watch it and you tell me what yours is. That's kind of how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'd say that's the best way to I think that's a good thing to strive for, because ultimately people go online to get the lowdown on whatever movie, and to be able to hear an honest critique of the thing from someone that knows the series or knows the ins and outs. You're never going to find someone better than someone that worked at a video store by and large. Because some of the people I know that do YouTube that worked at Blockbuster, mom and pop shops, whatever it might be, it's incredible. Like, it blows my mind.
That's so funny you said that, because I was exactly that guy that worked at
Amazing.
Blockbuster. Like, check this movie out, man. You're gonna love it. All We're like, no, stay away from that one at all costs. Don't do it. Don't waste your $5 on that.
Waste your $5 on things.
No.
And
What's wrong with-
video
what's
scores
wrong with
where you
things?
kind of get
Exactly.
I can't join you on those. It's,
They have a joke about.
But no.
They have
draw
a
the
joke
line at
about a
things.
paper bag or paper bag lady or whatever. I mean, it's classic jokes. I mean, yeah. Anyway.
I love the exploitation. I draw the line at things. I can't go past things.
Oh man, but it's a
It's
porn star
fine.
not playing a porn star. I mean, it subverts your expectations and then knocks you in the head with like a radio coming out of a freezer.
Uh-oh.
You don't like Amber Lynn as a reporter?
I think he pissed Dan off.
Oh well, he blew up my theater twice, so I have the right to do that.
See?
Bring it on.
I was not aware there's so many defenders of things here tonight. Goddamn.
Oh no, Dan is a things aficionado. I think he if he could, he'd probably have Barry J. Gillis tattooed on his entire back.
That's, you know what? I respect that. I fucking respect that.
And see now I gotta watch this things.
Oh man, Monty, we could introduce you to a whole new world.
We have such sights to show you.
Uh-oh.
One other thing, let's say, guys, is I think another thing what's great about what we guys do here, kind of the smaller YouTubers, is some people want to hear like the kind of the average Joe's thoughts on a movie that we may not necessarily study film and like read books. Some of us we might not necessarily be film historians and went to film school and stuff. With some of us are just kind of the average Joes, and sometimes you want to hear the average Joe's opinion, not some like Siskel and Ebert type person, you know.
I can't get over what T-180 said.
Uh-oh.
The fucking
Oh, you're talking about the my rule of thumb?
That was a thing, huh? That was a thing.
It is a solid rule of thumb. Let's be honest. If it's better than a porn movie that was found behind, what was it, a porn theater in some place,
Something
and there's
like
only
that.
like 2 copies in existence, and it's been remastered. Oh God.
God damn it. I did not need to think about bat pussy today.
Oh come on, Razorback tattoos are all the rage.
All right,
definitely don't have
Mr.
bat pussy on
Meathook,
DVD.
our
Yes.
guest this month. Do you consider yourself a film critic, or is your channel more about
Absolutely not.
film?
I mean, yes, I call my reviews, but I call them shitty video reviews for a reason. Because I'm a fucking terrible critic, and I watch shitty movies, and my reviews are shitty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't agree with that part.
Oh, your reviews are great.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
are. very good.
yeah, trust me. I really really miss watching your reviews, Dan, because sometimes you really crack me up when I watch your reviews. I say, "Wow," it actually make me get to watch some of the movies that you review too.
Okay.
You were the
Joe
best
goes
PR
over,
man
says,
Psycho
"My
Ape could have
opinion
ever
is
had."
the best."
The best PR man Psycho 8 could have had because I gave it 6 out of 5 bananas.
Yeah, it got me to watch it.
Yeah, you did.
All right, guys. Next topic is: what are your thoughts on film studio interference on a film? How it can affect the final product? Can a filmmaker rise above it if they truly are passionate about the project, and if they are a skilled director? What do you guys think on that? Trivial Theater.
I think there's always that level of studio interference. Like if you look at something like an established director like Joe Dante being able to do what he did with like Gremlins 2. You know, they're like, hey, we want a Gremlins movie. And he basically shot everybody in the foot and made an incredibly funny satirical look. That's fantastic. But not every director has that ability, you know, and it is a risk, however you play it. So I think that they can, but you have to be smart enough to work the system and still get what you want, which, you know, that takes a certain level and a lot of luck.
Mhm.
Yeah, not everyone had the benefit of Dante of being friends with Spielberg.
Exactly. That's a huge thing.
That kind of helps a little.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, that
Friends.
definitely helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Marty?
I think nowadays with the size of budgets and shit, it's a lot more difficult for a first-time director to kind of stand up to a studio. Case in point, one of my favorite movies of the Alien series, Alien 3. I love Alien 3. I think that Fincher got his thumbprint and pushed the boat out enough so there was still some essence of him attached to that movie. That movie still has problems, but the fact remains we had a movie with no solid director that was cut to shit, that people were getting new scripts every day, and it was still a fairly solid Alien movie. I love Alien 3, and I do understand why it gets so much hate, but it's... Fuck you,
Oh, so you're
Joe.
the guy who likes it.
Joe Martin is legendary on a lot of levels, man. He's freaking awesome.
Yes.
I do. I particularly prefer the restored cut. He won't call it the director's cut because he wants nothing to do with it. But there was even though Fincher left, there was so many great kind of visual effects artists, set designers, Elliot Goldenthal's soundtrack for that movie, that it's still a solid fucking movie, despite the fuckery the studio did with that movie.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think if you have some solid people working on it, that it should ring true. Now, again, that's circa 1992. Is that possible anymore? I don't know. Studios just seem to have first-time directors by the short and curlies, and there isn't much they can do about it.
Well, I think a massive, huge example of it was Justice League. that was a movie.
Oh, yes.
I was so looking forward to it, but then when you hear all the gossip about the backstage issues with Zack Snyder, and at one time you hear, oh, it was because he had problems and things going on with his family behind the scenes, but then you hear other people saying other different things happened, and next thing you know, he's off the project and Josh Whedon takes over, and it's a completely different movie, with a completely different tone. It's crazy how it can affect the final result of a film.
No, absolutely. Like the go-to example of that for me, like obviously there's the well-known ones, Alien 3, Justice League. I would throw like Event Horizon and stuff in there. The go-to example for me is actually Crow City of Angels, Crow 2, which got really screwed over by the studio. The director wanted to like make his own mark on the Crow franchise, but didn't want to copy or do a copy paste job of the Brandon Lee film. He wanted to do his own thing, bring in some elements from the original comic that never got adapted in the original movie. And the studio really didn't like that idea. They're just like, no, just make it like the first one all over again. Just copy and paste it. And then afterwards, they cut it behind his back and cut out a bunch of important things to where there's a lot of lines in the movie that don't make sense because they're referencing stuff that got cut out of the goddamn movie. And I can still find a lot to love about City of Angels and appreciate what it was trying to be and the vision that it could have been. And it could have been a fantastic Crow movie, but due to all the studio interference, it gets butchered, and it's kind of killed the entire franchise and a lot of people's opinions on the series.
Yeah, see, that's the one thing I don't understand. I mean, first of all, you're not going to duplicate what Brandon Lee did for Eric Draven in that movie. Even I don't know how close he got to the source material, but that movie was just definitely Brandon Lee's movie, and to try to duplicate that, you're not going to duplicate that. So I don't even know. I know the studio was just looking for, let's make some more money about that.
I mean, no. Clearly, what we can do is we can make him look like a shitty SoundCloud rapper from like the mid 2010s. That'll be the perfect solution to fix the Crow franchise.
Well, it seems like You look at like these director or these studio heads, and like back in the day, they were within the industry. They they knew movies, they worked movies. There was understanding of what makes a good movie. But so much of the time now, like oh God, what the hell is his name? WB guy.
Zaslav.
Thank you. He is like, he's a finance guy, he's a numbers guy.
Yeah.
There's no understanding of it's like Birdemic 2. You look at Birdemic 1 and it's like, okay, funny walk, bad CGI birds, coat hangers, whole 9 yards. When they made Birdemic 2, yeah, exactly. When they looked at Birdemic 2, they're like, okay, well, what was it that people liked about Birdemic 1? Well, they liked goofy walk, they liked stunted dialogue, they liked CGI birds. We need more of that. They're not looking at why those things worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
Like, why have someone like Zaslav being the one making the creative decisions behind a studio to where he's like scrapping movies that have so much potential, with like what came out recently? So I can tell you, so many people would have loved to see that Batman Beyond movie that was going to be done by the Spider-Verse team that he just completely shut down because it would have cost too much money and probably wouldn't have made it back. Batgirl, so many things. Studio heads should not be like. Now, granted, creatives sometimes can also make terrible studio heads because they haven't given enough restrictions and just let things go wild and become kind of incoherent messes. But you in the case of Warner Brothers or most other studios right now, it's the exact opposite of like you should not let non-creative people like that, like numbers guys or people like Zaslav who came up in reality TV, be making major decisions for a film studio. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Mr. Meathook, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, I got so many. Hopefully I can elaborate on all of them.
Go ahead. I'm gonna wait for this one.
Go for it.
So I think studio interference in so many cases has just destroyed the potential for great films.
Yes.
You look at films like Hellraiser Bloodline. The original cut, I mean, it's still not amazing, but it's better than what got put out.
It's cool.
It's so bad that it's an Alan Smithy movie.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Jeff Burr wanted his name off the movie, but the credit reel had already been printed.
Mm-hmm.
He had a nervous breakdown. He literally had a nervous breakdown because of that movie. Yeah.
Poor guy.
There's just so many movies where the studio thinks they know what the fans want, but the studios are out of touch.
Well, that's definitely true. They're definitely out of touch. As
a wrestling fan, I can relay it as Vince McMahon the last 20 years that he was in charge of WWE.
Oh.
Trying to say, I know what the fans want when he had no idea.
I want guys throwing pancakes at the fans. And
life was WWE, and like if someone tried to make a character that was based off of a pop culture reference, he had no idea what it was because his life was WWE.
Yeah.
And he had to have the final say in everything. And it's the same way with studios. When it comes down to it, all they care about is the money.
Yes.
That's why there's so many remakes and so many sequels, because those are guaranteed money. There's no risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the new Exorcist movie, everybody loved that.
No, and one thing I wanted to bring up actually that I learned pretty recently on a prime example of like one of those remakes that the director actually wanted to do something drastically different and sounded like it had a potential, but the studio cut her off every single time she tried to. The 2013 Carrie, the director has said that she originally, what she wanted to do with that movie, she wanted Carrie to be a heavyset black girl and explore what that experience is like in the modern day, as opposed to just retreading the exact same story we've already done 3 times at that point, and having Chloe Grace Moretz for some reason be treated as like the ugliest girl at school. But the studio said, no, we can't sell a movie with like a non-conventionally attractive woman as the lead. We can't do that. We got to get her to do it. And just shot her off at every single point. And the second they shot off that idea she had, she just lost all interest in the project, and it just became kind of walked through the whole production, not really caring much about what else came, and it comes through in the feature.
That was that's the one thing I didn't like about the Carrie remake. Is like you got Chloe Grace Moretz. She's even when they tried her best to make her look homely looking, she still looked beautiful.
She's Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's like
she's all that symptom or syndrome.
Yeah.
I like what they did with CC Spacek, as far as making her look homely, but then, when you got the makeup on it, she actually was like a very attractive woman. But it's like, if you're going to do a remake about Carrie, you don't cast an attractive woman when you know that the first half of the film, she's supposed to look unattractive. But I like the idea that she wanted to cast somebody that was a very, a little heavy set, because that kind of makes sense. That feeds into the bulliness that she's getting.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate that more than to have, not that I didn't have, because I actually did like the remake, despite the fact that Chloe did a good job. It's just that, that blew the whole thing about, because she just looked too cute, even when she was trying to make her look homely.
Yeah. Some of the decisions that are made, it blows your mind. Like the one thing I will say with Hollywood stuff, being that, and social media is a double-edged sword without even considering it, but like the fact that things like Coyote versus Acme has gotten so much press because of what's happening. Not that it's necessarily going to, well, ideally speaking, the WB would have that moment of, oh my gosh, we need to give this to the people, but obviously they probably won't. But
no.
that whole outcry for that is kind of neat to see. It's like, we want to see these things. Listen to the people that you say that you're trying to please.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with having a finance guy in charge. He only cares about the bottom line, and the bottom line is they can use those movies as tax write-offs.
Yeah.
They make more money that way.
And that's the thing, though. But it's gonna, and I know long term is 2 weeks, not years. But it's gonna shoot them in the foot. After the pandemic and everything, we're still fighting for movies in theaters and to try and keep things interesting. And they're killing the cow to, I don't know, to have burgers this weekend or whatever. That's a terrible metaphor.
That's I was disappointed, because growing up watching Looney Tunes and just loving the Coyote and Roadrunner go back at each other, it's like I was looking forward for that. I say, man, I can't wait to see this one.
It sucks because there's stuff with so much potential. I mean, Disney are sitting on top of an Alien versus Predator adaptation of the first comic, and it's an anime. It's the same dude behind Ghost in the Shell who animated that. It's fucked in a vault somewhere, and it will probably never see the light of day.
Well, there's so many of those. I mean, you could look at so many classics. Like, we're gonna go through another thing that happened in like the 19-teens, where like 80% of stuff was lost because the film reels were redone, or Doctor Who, or early Doctor Who, or whatever it might be. Only this time it's going to be based totally on their ignorance.
I'll say one that I was excited about, being the Halloween nerd I am. Before the whole idea of the 2018 came around, there was a script called the Halloween Returns that I was very interested in. I read some of it. I was like, this could be interesting. It might have been a little wild and out there, but it would have been something cool. And what we get with 2018 was kind of,
same old.
in a way.
It was just Halloween 4 again.
I still like it, but yeah.
But then, to play devil's advocate, there are occasionally examples where a studio's, and I'm not sucking the studio's dick, but there are occasionally examples where they do step in. A good example is a movie. You and I actually think that the third is better than the original, although we're going to get stoned for this. Exorcist 3, the studio said, look, they wanted to do a different ending, and the studio said, we want to have an exorcism and things, and it was a better movie.
Admittedly,
And there's another time, and this is my own opinion, I know no one else agrees with me on this, but Hannibal film, because the studio was like, they saw the book and the ending, and they were like, oh, people are going to be so pissed. And even though people hated that movie, like most people who've read the book say, the movie's better than the book, guys. Because of what the ending is. So there are times where there can be a balance, but most of the time I think it is about the money, but occasionally, even a broken clock's right sometimes.
Yeah, it can occasionally, but I feel like those examples are so rare to find,
They are.
especially the further we get into the history of film. Honestly,
but occasionally they do. I guess you need a balance, and probably there are some good things. Daryl, you know this better than anyone. Do you think there's a place for studios to hand out the money, or do you think get out of my way? Let me make my art.
I mean, I think if you're wanting to make art and make it the way you want it, you have to go outside of the studio system. You're never going to make the movie you want with studios involved. Whether you finance it yourself or you find a financier that's going to let you do your creative part, which is the hard part, or you do like I'm going to do it with crowdfunding. If you want to make the movie you want to make, you have to make it. And studios cannot be involved because they're either going to say, okay, you can't do that, or they're going to say, yeah, go ahead and do what you want. And then you're going to get an instance like the Thing prequel where they said, yeah, you can do all that practical effects. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And then they put shitty CGI on top of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good point.
Terrible. And I love the Thing prequel too, except for that shitty ass. Oh man, ruined the whole
That's
movie.
that's the thing that people hated about it was the CGI.
Yeah.
and it's just
Like I said, it wasn't just, and it was terrible CGI too. It's like, God.
It was like it was like The Rock and Scorpion King.
Oh,
Yeah.
it does. It does look like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just I feel like the only example I can think of like a first-time director being able to mostly have control is if you're pre-established, and the only way I can think of like an example of that is like Jordan Peele or something with like Get Out. As far as from what he said, he had pretty much free carte blanche to do whatever he wanted with that movie, but that's just because he was pre-established and he relatively didn't have that high of a budget, and he's been able to develop work on.
Eli Roth kind of did too, but he also had the advantage of having Tarantino as a friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The same with Peele. He had years of being pre-established in the industry and been proven success, at least TV-wise and comedy-wise.
And I always get weird looks when I tell people this, but this is one of the reasons, and I'm not being funny when I say this. I admire so much Tyler Perry. Like, he has to make these shitty Medea movies, and he knows he is, but it's to fund what he actually cares about. And you can argue the level of quality, but he's a director I admire because he's like, you know what, fuck the system. I'm going to take this money, and then I'm going to go make my own movies. I've got my own thing. Fuck you guys, I'm gonna make my shit here. I respect that so much. Yeah, it's such a cool
I think he was lucky that the Medina movies, as bad as some of them were, it still was very successful in the box office. So that allowed him, gave him carte blanche, that the fact that he can build this, allow him to get the empire that he created. Despite the fact that how bad some of those Medina movies were.
And that is
it's a hell of a way to work around.
That is one kind of cool thing you do have with people who do manage to pull this off, of like your Perleys or even like your Peels or people like that, or your Roths, of who are able to, after they get through this, they do help uplift other creators and make it a bit easier for them and not have as much studio interference as traditional studio work. Like, prime example of that. Look at Nia DaCosta's Candyman and how phenomenal of a film that is, and all the great work she was able to do with that because she had complete creative freedom for the most part. And then look at The Marvels, which she also did, and how much of a mess that film is because she had to work under the Disney umbrella. It's really does. Yeah.
And the fucking cheek of that. The cheek of that is a bunch of Disney execs turned around and said, well, she had too much creative control.
Exactly.
You're like,
exactly.
Motherfuckers.
We always say, they're like, no, you clearly did not give her enough control. This doesn't feel like a Nia DaCosta film. This feels like another shitty generic Marvel movie. It was. Yeah.
I know, and then that's why I hated about that, because it's like, oh wow, this is going to be pretty good because she did a great job with Candyman, so she's going to do a good job with the Marvels. Yeah, but unfortunately, you can't mess with the Disney machine. That's what I call it.
Yeah,
it's true though.
Like, that is one nice thing. Or even I can't think of the director's name, but the actual creator behind Nightmare Before Christmas, that it wasn't Tim Burton. Again, Peele allowed him to do Wendell and Wild, which was a passion project that he always wanted to do.
Such a great movie.
I love Wendell and Wild.
So fun.
Yeah, phenomenal film that only exists because Peele was just like, oh, hell yeah, that seems cool as shit. Why hasn't any studio let you do this for now? This seems awesome. I want to get a part of this. Here's some money.
And hopefully that's one of those generational things where those directors that manage to kind of go around the system and get that influence are the next, like in their own right, like Spielberg's and Lucas's and stuff,
Yeah.
and they can kind of continue to provide those aspects. And for as much of the studio system as exists, there is a decent level of indie filmmakers that work outside of the Hollywood system.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I mean, Asylum aside. Not that they don't do some good stuff, but
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Wild Eye, I guess, is another example.
Yeah, they give
Yeah.
you an opportunity in some cases to be able to get what you want to do out there. It depends on you could argue they might have a little too much or not enough influence sometimes, but yeah.
I mean, with Wild Eye though, that's just a distributor. They don't.
Yeah, that's
really-
true. They're
Yeah.
not really.
I guess they do on occasion finance movies, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
True.
Mhm. Yeah, they just do with distribution.
Mm-hmm.
True. All right, guys. Next topic up, and we did kind of touch a little bit on it before, but let's get into it. Do you feel a movie reviewer or a film critic should always give their honest opinion on a film, even if it's terrible? Or do you think sometimes you could take into consideration, that the film crew may have worked hard and spent many hours trying to bring their vision to the screen? Mr. Meathook, our guest.
Oh, I got to start this one. Okay.
Yes, yes, you do.
Heavy duty.
All
It's
right,
pretty
so-
loaded. It's pretty loaded.
As I said before, I used to just, if I hated a movie, I would absolutely shit on it. But it is a team that makes a movie, unless it's a Dustin Ferguson movie. That's like a 3-person team, and all those movies are fucking awful.
Yes, they are.
They're all fucking awful.
Can someone explain to me how he can still make movies?
Well, you see,
Makes
when a
them
mom
on a
and dad
weekend
love
for
each
like
other very,
$5,000.
very much.
I'm sorry, what you say? What you say, Dan? What you say?
Sorry.
Makes them on a weekend for like $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Even, and he self-distributes. He gets on the streaming services. He's going to make his money back.
Yeah.
But like I said before, I used to shit on movies, except I'll still shit on Dustin Ferguson movies because they're all fucking awful. And like
This
I
is
said,
why we love you.
the team is like 3 people. But it does take a team to make a movie. So I'm sure if you guys watch my movies, I have some unpopular opinions about popular movies. Like
Absolutely.
when
Oh,
I
yeah.
watched Hereditary, I regretted that the theater didn't burn down with me in it.
I remember that.
Damn,
don't
Black
worry,
and Night, Great Prince.
There's a few other people that do not like Hereditary.
But I know that I'm in the minority. I know that a lot of people view it as a masterpiece, where quite the opposite for myself. But yeah, it still had great cinematography.
Mhm.
I hated every other aspect of it. So yeah, like I said, I won't just completely shit on a movie, even if I hated everything about it, except for one, like with Hereditary, beautifully shot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's the only positive thing I have to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If
Uh-huh.
I can't find a positive thing to say about a movie, I just won't say anything, because that's not fair to the team of people that busted their ass to make sure that piece of shit happened.
Yeah.
That's a good way to play it.
TYTD reviews. You probably don't want to see my review of Halloween 5.
Yeah.
Halloween 5 is a movie that exists.
It is. It is certainly a movie. It features Mr.
I mean,
Michael Myers.
At least it's better than Halloween Ends. There, I said something positive about it.
Oh, here we go.
Hot take.
I didn't say it being better than Halloween Ends is a low fucking bar.
That's true.
I was gonna say.
But it is true.
Uh,
All right, Jen and Velvet. What say
Well,
you?
For our channel, like I always want honesty. I want you to get, like, I don't want to copy anybody else's opinion. I want, even if it's your opinion,
Mhm.
like I want to give you my honest thoughts on something. But at the same time, I'm somewhat of a sensitive person, and I always hold it in the back of my head that these people have feelings. You know, the actors have feelings, and that's one way you can turn me off if I'm watching one of your videos and you're just being mean-spirited or not giving good reasons as to why it just sucks. that'll make me turn your channel off really, really quickly. I always try to bear in mind. But again, I also think false positivity can be just as dangerous as too much toxicity and negativity. So it's a fine line. But I always try to, there's very few examples of where I can at least find one goddamn thing about your movie, except for maybe Dashcam. Fuck Dashcam.
Even with Dashcam, which I still would argue might be
an exception, huh?
Even with Dashcam,
They did not like Dashcam.
Oh no,
Man,
but
tell us how
even
you really feel.
yeah.
But even then, the director, I don't hate the director, because even though I hated their other film, Boogeyman, I'm like, good cinematography.
Yeah, I can at least acknowledge, like, Dashcam is one of the very few, like, 4 or 5 movies that I genuinely say I probably are closest to me saying I genuinely hate. But I can at least say, okay, there's some okay ideas sprinkled in here and there. It's just everything else is fucking drawing them back, and everything else is just getting sucked in this black hole of garbage.
Yeah.
That is that movie.
But very rarely, like, sometimes we'll go after a movie, but we always do try to bear in mind at the same time these people do have feelings. And there was a good example when we did the Beaten to Death movie. I know
Beaten to Death.
Beaten to Death. There was a movie, and I liked it a little better than
you liked it a lot more than I did.
Velvet did, but like the people still saw us and left us a comment and said, nice discussion and stuff. You can do it in a way without being a dick. You can give criticisms, and like, I think people can tell when you're being a dick or when you actually have some valid criticisms. And sometimes criticisms can help your movie, I would imagine.
And I feel like it does sort of come down to sometimes, like, Beaten to Death's a good example. That's not the type of movie that I'm always super into. It's hyper nihilistic and just not really my bag of movies I ever get super into.
Yeah.
So I was at least upfront about, like, look, okay, I'm coming from this perspective, and here's my take on it. But like, I know this is not my type of thing. Because I always have, like, okay, if I ever end up doing this accidentally in a video, I'm like, okay, I quit from the internet. I quit from ever talking about movies. If I end up doing like a Siskel and Ebert thing talking about anytime they talked about a horror movie, I'm like, no, I do not want to do this. I do not want to just shit on something just because, oh no, I don't like it or something. No, I'll have issues with it. I'll get my issues across, but I'm not going to constantly just go after every single element of a film just because it's a genre I don't like, or it's something, there's stuff about it that I don't personally like. I can see why people would like it maybe, but it just isn't really my bag.
Exactly. There's a way to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you
Thing
said,
is
that's what I always appreciate. If it's bad, why is it bad?
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's so
Why
many
do you
critics
think
that
it's
will
bad?
say it sucks, but they don't give any opinion.
Yeah, I see so many of, like, I dub them the Stuckman knockoffs channels where it just comes down to, like, they'll just say it's bad. Well, why is it bad? Oh, because it's bad. I never want to do that. I'll, like, prime example, I hated the movie Thanksgiving by Eli Roth. Really, really disliked that movie. But I'll at least tell you why I hated the movie Thanksgiving by Eli Roth, and I'm not just going to say it's bad because I don't like it.
Because it's woke, bro. It's totally woke.
Or just throw that four-letter platitude that means absolutely nothing anymore because of how much it's been overused by idiots.
Yeah.
Or there
was still a word that you can go with.
I mean, that movie definitely had a lot. That movie definitely had Eli Roth dialogue.
Yes, it did. It also had Eli Roth characters, and it's the first time I've gotten sick of Eli Roth characters.
Was it too Eli Roth? Was it too much Eli overload?
I have always sort of come to bat for Eli. I defended him to a point. Not the same way I'll defend like a Rob Zombie or something, but I always thought he got a little too much shit by people. But for some reason, Thanksgiving was my line where I'm like, nope, he crossed the line.
No,
I can't pass it. I can't cop for you anymore, buddy. I'll still defend like Green Inferno.
It was like this
stuff,
after I saw Thanksgiving, I thought about what you were going to say. I said, I got a feeling that he's not going to like this.
Yeah, no, I'm just sitting there like, yep, nope, don't like this. I'll still defend like Green Inferno. Do they have similar problems? Yeah, probably. But for some reason, Thanksgiving was too much of it for me.
Because even with Green Inferno, they really don't give any type of character development into the characters in the film at all. Just like with Thanksgiving, you really don't get any type of. I think in Thanksgiving it's worse as opposed to Green Inferno. When it comes to character development, where you're supposed to at least care what's happening to the people that's getting killed, like you're supposed to care with the people that's being eaten in Green Inferno, but What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
Mhm.
Oh, the excellent.
I laughed. I have to admit, I laughed, and I live in Massachusetts.
As long as you're not
Is it-
doing that
I don't know
weird,
how
like,
accurate it is, but
as long as you're not doing that like mid-Atlantic, like 50s accent, like, oh, I came with the yacht and the car and all that stuff.
Jingle pack the car and have the yard.
You got to buy the
One-
car.
Car.
one part I thought was pretty realistic when the dude cuts the lady off in traffic and he's like, F you. Like, yeah, that's Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's Massachusetts.
That happens every day. All right, now moving onwards, thoughts on the pros and cons of indie horror. Should we support indie horror no matter what, or should we judge a film individually on its own merit? For example, if a certain indie company continues to knock out like garbage films, should we continue to support it? What say you, Trivial Theater?
I think you have to, and I know it's hard to do because there are so many movies that are released at any one time, but I do think it is a film by film basis. Like, I could shit on Asylum all day because honestly, most of what they put out is not to my liking. I think it's bad movies for the sake of, oh look guys, bad movies are popular, let's make a movie. But they put out good stuff too, and it's not just a thing that was 20 years ago. And especially if you're talking first time directors or someone trying something new, you're not necessarily going to have a perfect movie out the gate. There are things that are affected, that affect movies outside of studio interference, especially with indie stuff. What was the one, Blood Theater by Rick Sloan? Halfway through, what his main actress quit. So that adds to your budget. It does all these things. All that stuff is going to happen more so when you're talking about a small independent kind of a thing. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a film by film basis by and large.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How about you, Monty G? How do you feel about that?
Well, I say this because I know I know how difficult it is to for an independent filmmaker to get a film made. As I know for Daryl, I'm pretty sure it's not easy trying to get a film made when you're trying. First of all, it's money. I know just the first thing that comes to money, because when I interviewed Deborah when she was working on Fanboy 13, she said it's always going to be money, and it's very, very hard trying to, not just to pay the actors and pay these people and pay the best boys or the grips or even the little other things, like you got to feed these people. They got to eat. You got to make sure they're fed. You got to make sure, that you got to get them to and from the sets where you're shooting at. You got to make sure they get travel there. And that's probably coming out of whatever budget that you have. So I always try to give independent filmmakers the respect that they have, because they're basically funding everything themselves, or they have to get a crowd pleaser or a GoFundMe, whatever they have to do in order to fund their film. Now, whether or not the film is good or not, that to me, that's kind of irrelevant, because that depends upon how well they film the film or how well the person directed. But I always respect the fact that at least they did something. They got the film made and they did a good job. Hey, I'll praise them. It's like that. If they did a fair job, I'll praise them. If they did a bad job, I'm just going to tell them. They say, look, I appreciate the job that you did, but this is why I didn't like that part, or this is why I didn't like that part.
Okay, how about you, Marty?
I think, like, regardless, as Triv said, it should be a case by case basis. If you stop supporting independent filmmakers, then it might have a knock on effect. They mightn't have enough money to do the visual effects or the makeup effects, or kind of get like elements that would make the story better. And it's unless the person is churning out like absolute fucking stinkers time and time again, give them a fair shake. And like, it's, I think it would be unfair as well to kind of say, I'm not supporting indie horror because it's not living up to the caliber of the big boys. Keep in mind, the big boys have like a blank checkbook that they can pull out of. So like, it's better to support the little guy. And as Monty said as well, if they put out a stinker, you criticize it, and if they put out a good one, at least you were there to kind of support them and show that, hey, this guy's got the cojones to pull through,
Great point. How about you, Mr. Meathook?
So we should absolutely, I think, even if you don't like a horror movie, I think every independent movie should be supported.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Unless it's Dustin Ferguson.
Fuck you, Dustin Ferguson.
I'm watching this.
And obviously,
Man.
they should all be judged on their own merits. And if you don't like it, maybe you're just not the target audience, or maybe
Yeah.
it's a shit, or maybe it's a shit movie. Like, I'm making a bad movie that's for bad movie fans. So if you watch my movie and you say I didn't like this movie, you probably just weren't the target audience, or maybe I made a shit movie.
I don't know. This movie about a high snake does not quite reach the qualities of a Scorsese, I feel.
But that's the thing. Those kind of movies, like, unless you give it a chance, you're never gonna know. Like Killer Condom, of all things, like, like it's such a fun movie, and it has such a great message behind it. And like, people will just go poo poo, oh, it's a movie about rubbers that have come to life. Screw that. Who are And if it's not your thing, if you go and you go, you know what, it's humor that's not really my thing. But if you're up for giving it a chance, do your research, find out about the movie, or as much as you feel confident, going into, unless you want to go in blind, and then you get what you get when you come out.
Trust me, I'd rather see that movie than that goddamn puppet movie.
Oh, that's a great example, because you kind of had that back when we did the Queer Horror Week. We highlighted Killer Condom, and you had never seen it before when I told you I wanted to do it for, and you were a little bit like, I don't know about this. I mean, it's not really my bag of movie and stuff. And then even you were surprised.
That's not
by,
Jen's movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a course humping movie, but come on.
But even you were like really pleasantly surprised by like how surprisingly nuanced the movie could be at points.
Yes, it did teach me a lesson not to always judge, because I'll be honest, like Daryl said, sometimes this isn't your cup of tea, and I guess you yes, I make jokes, but I tend to like the more
you like depressing, disturbing, fucked up shit.
Yeah, I think Daryl comment once that said, "Jen, for the love of God, please have some fun." The fun movies aren't usually they're more pure jam and stuff. And I'm not shitting on them, but that's just my taste and stuff. But it does teach you that sometimes you do, you can't judge a movie on just the cover. Sometimes you just got to be open-minded, and sometimes you can find out some that aren't your thing can be your thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jen, so you're saying it's Daryl's fault we watched that fucking puppet porno?
No, she wanted to do that one long before.
No,
long before.
That's just me being a degenerate. That had nothing to do with Daryl. I do recommend Let My Puppets Come, Daryl, if you've never seen it. I think
I have not.
It's a great one. You should watch it with the missus. It's me and Marty had a wonderful time, didn't we, darling?
Uh-oh.
I noticed.
I mean, he's drinking now because of it.
Yeah. I'm Irish. Oh, that's good. That's a fucking given anyway, man.
Yeah.
Dan's with you.
There you go.
It was funded by the mob, Daryl. It was funded by the mob.
That's all you need to know.
I mean,
Speaking of
it
studio
can't be any worse than Nightmare
interference,
Asylum.
Oh, they had mafia interference. It's a different thing. You'll end up with
Might get
concrete shoes.
Oh,
might
and it
get a
has
bat to
bestiality. A puppet
face
got
if you don't do
bestiality.
it the
That
way I
shit's
want.
Now I'm thinking of Where the Dead Go to. Or, what the fuck is that movie called?
The dead don't. Where the dead don't die.
Die.
Where the
Where the
that
dead go
movie
to
by
die.
fucking
Where the dead
yeah,
go
where
to
the
die.
dead go to die. Yeah. Now I'm thinking of that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I will say it is a better movie than that.
Just
Barely. Barely.
Where would it be on the bat pussy scale?
I know.
Velvet, where would it be on the bat pussy scale?
Ooh, where would it be on the bat pussy scale for you?
Like better or worse?
Better.
Better than
I mean,
that
it has the dog. And Marty, say the line. Say the
I'm
line,
not saying the
please.
fucking line, please.
Say a line, Mark.
I
Say
know
the
when
line,
you're
please.
drunk
Marty
enough to
does it
fucking
better.
Wait, please, no.
Please, Charlie.
Oh, I feel you, Marty.
I got my shots. I'm a purebred, and I'm a real cocker. There, are you happy? Are you fucking happy?
He said, "God,
Awesome.
yay!"
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Sean. There goes your channel.
You killed it.
The
You're
channel
welcome.
went a long time ago after all.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Weren't we talking about movies?
I think so.
Oh, TYTD says it's on the Internet Archive.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I know what I'm
Hashtag
looking
save the
at.
Internet Archive.
The way I look at it personally is, like Trivial Theater said, I judge it on a case by case basis, and sometimes a lot of it is I feel like I need to see the preview of something because that can like make or break a movie for me. Because if a movie looks horrible in the preview, chances are it probably is. But that's just my opinion. That's how I look at things. And when it comes to like studios like say Roger Corman Productions, for example, you might have a really legit good horror movie like The Pit and the Pendulum, or you might have something that's cheesy as all hell, campy as all hell, like
Slumber
The
Party
Raven. I
Massacre
just
2,
watched
which is
The
a
Raven
fucking
the other night
masterpiece.
with Vincent Price.
I'll say this: Roger Corman's Fantastic Four was way better than Fan Four Stick.
Yes, it
Amen
is.
to that.
I was
And
getting
Sean,
something
I will
like
hear-
that.
I will learn no slander to the good Corman film of Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf.
You might get
Yeah.
the Stars kind of thing. Or you might get a Roger Corman's Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the best version, let's be honest.
It's
Yeah.
Released or
fantastic.
unreleased.
But that's also a low bar.
It's incredibly low bar. The
That's
bar
true.
is,
It is a very
grinding
low
against
bar.
the floor. Ooh, shut up.
But if we're going to look at it from a positive perspective, the bar still exists.
That's true.
And it's most likely not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Is the bar an erection? Is that
No.
what? Oh,
Yes.
No.
Yes. It's Mr. Fantastic's erection, Jen.
Oh God.
It was only made to keep the copyright as well. That's the sad
Yeah.
thing. Because a
Yeah, I
bunch
know,
of the
yeah.
actors went off and like paid for marquees and shit to promote the movie themselves. They didn't realize that the thing was just going to be fucking stashed once it was shot.
Yep.
Well, God, that's like that's kind of what we're going through now with the tax
Yeah.
runoff thing. That's
Mhm.
crazy. I mean, not crazy, but
Yep,
I mean,
it was
that's
never
also
supposed
kind-
to be released.
yeah.
I mean, that's also kind of what we've done with the current state of dimension with like the Hellraiser sequels and like the Children of the Corn films of like,
Oh, God.
we got this spec script lying around, and somehow it's tie in Pinhead or throw in some corn in there and we'll call it good. It's a new movie we can keep
Throw 'em
going.
in there.
We got this weird Seven knockoff script we can use. Let's just throw Pinhead in there for some goddamn reason.
Well, on that subject, here's an interesting question, and I don't mean to hijack, but like you look at something like the Cloverfield sequels, where initially those weren't really Cloverfield movies, they were normal scripts, and Cloverfield got added in. Where does that fall in the grand scheme of movies like this?
Sometimes you can get a good movie out of that.
Yeah,
Like The
yeah,
Collector. The Collector was
Yeah.
originally supposed to be a Saw movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to be I think it was supposed to be a Saw prequel.
Yeah,
it was.
and you get something that's like, sure, Saw is the springboard, but you get something really fucking cool. And I like The Collector, and I like the fact.
I know, yeah. Because at least as far as Cloverfield was concerned, at least 10 Cloverfield Lane was good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
unfortunately, the Cloverfield Paradox was not.
No,
Yes.
You know. Yeah, for sure. But no, I think so. You can get some good stuff out of that. Hell, another one, not exactly was never meant to be, but kind of springboard from that. Like Repo the Genetic Opera was also like only exists because they just reused the sets from the Saw movie. Darren Lynn Bousman was like, hey, we're just gonna like hijack all these sets we made for like Saw 4 and 5 and just shoot this weird fucking goth musical on it.
Oh, you know what? We do need an Amityville vibrator too, I think.
Jesus Christ.
Agreed.
I'll talk to Nate tonight.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Woohoo! I'm sure it'll be quite a
It'll be
stimulating
an experience.
It'll be very stimulating. Quite
Maybe someone
definitely
should
don't have that
literally
movie on
like
Blu-ray.
just take a dump and call it Amityville Dump.
I think there is actually
yeah.
Amityville Outhouse, isn't? No,
Uh-oh.
there is.
Amityville Outhouse
no,
or
Amityville
Amityville-
Toilet.
I think Dice is
There's
trying
both.
to. I think Dice is trying to give you sound effects.
There's an Amityville Outhouse and an Amityville Death Toilet.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah,
Dyson,
since
sorry for
Amityville's
causing
already-
emotional
yes.
damage.
Yeah, Amityville's
forget
been in
about-
space.
Don't
Yeah.
forget about Amityville Backpack.
No, that one I didn't know about.
The one I always wanted to make was Amityville Horror. It's about a haunted DVD copy of the Amityville Horror.
Jesus.
You know what? If they can
Perfect.
do a dollhouse and a really ugly ass lamp, they can do a
Yeah.
DVD of a
Oh,
DVD.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look! If you could take a piece of wood from the Amityville and make a movie about it.
Yep.
That's one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
Up. Dice Rollins says Amityville Poop, Killer Poop too.
Yep.
To Killer
There's also-
Cooper.
There's also a Killer Poop 3 in the works.
Oh god.
That's
Great
a
choice,
whole
guys.
series in its own.
I mean, you
They're
definitely need to do a trilogy if you're going to do
Sean,
something.
They're made by a
trilogy.
guy making a killer air fryer movie.
Yes. John, when are we doing a horror hangout stream talking about the Killer Poop franchise? I think it's due time. I think it's due time.
Daryl, you busy next month?
We should
I'm
do a
very busy
franchise
next month.
ranking, the Amityville Killer Poop franchise.
Exactly.
Which one is the best?
Well, number one is the shit. So
Uh-huh.
The whole group just disbands because we all are so passionate. No, you're wrong. Fuck you.
Amityville Poop is the Yoko Ono of horror hangouts.
This poop has the blackest.
Friendships are ended.
It's the Yoko of Amityville.
I give it
horror
5
hangouts.
pieces of corn.
Mhm.
I knew this one day actually. Dad, what you thought about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey?
Oh,
What did I think of it?
Mhm.
I thought it was fine.
Oh, okay.
Like I went in with low expectations, especially since I didn't watch it until about a month ago.
Mhm.
So I'd already heard everybody shitting all over it. But I thought it was fine. Like I didn't go in with high expectations. I wouldn't have anyways
Yeah.
because I knew it was made for like $90,000.
Mhm.
So I would have had low expectations, and it was fine. I'm actually looking forward to the sequel.
Okay.
I know because I was going to say about this. As far as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is concerned, I love the premise. I thought the premise was set up decent. I love what they thought, and I thought if he would have just went with that direction, I think it would have been a decent horror film. But he decided to go to the typical horror slasher part, and that's where he lost me. Though I did like the practical effects. The practical effects were decent. I'll give him credit for that.
we even liked a couple of shots,
there's
and
some-
we did not like the movie.
No, we did not.
Oh no, yeah, the characters, you know, the four girls that Pooh and Pipluck chase, no character development at all. You know, there's the one main girl. I thought we were going to get something out of her, but we get nothing out of her other than just some 5-minute scene where she's talking to the psychiatrist. I says, oh, I guess she's supposed to be the main girl, but that's all we get.
I mean, I don't always need character development in a slasher movie, especially a low budget one.
Mhm.
I mean, if you think there's going to be character development in Stoner Snake, you're watching the wrong movie.
No! We're gonna have an origin story, right? No, we're gonna have an
I
origin
need to
story.
know
I mean, kind
why
of
this
the opening.
snake
The
is
opening.
hot.
The opening scene is kind of the origin story, but then there's also like a fourth wall breaking moment where some characters ask him how he's talking to him, and he's like, "This movie doesn't have the budget for that kind of exposition."
Cute.
Breaking the
but
fourth wall.
See, but that's the issue I had with Pooh. Was Pooh took itself so deathly seriously? Like what was my issue with it a lot. Was it just took itself so self-serious about everything? It didn't really feel like it could have any joy about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people were saying that was one of the problems they had with Winnie the Pooh, that it took itself seriously. They wanted to actually see the guys talk. Like, say, one of the biggest things about Winnie the Pooh, he always says, "Oh, bother." So he could have said, like, say he didn't mean to kill the girl when he ran her over the car and smashed her head. He does that, and he does a big, "Oh, bother, I didn't mean to do that. Look at all the blood I got on my shirt."
Like, I'm not asking for a full-on like parody horror comedy, but like Friday the 13th Part 6 or something is like kind of like would like be the perfect tone, like not overly jokey, but just a little fun and light about it. You're a Winnie the Pooh movie. Stop being so self-serious.
Mm-hmm.
It will be interesting to see what they do in the second one, being that they've got, like, in theory, you learn from the first one and you kind of take it from there.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, I think that at least it got some better looking mask.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say I do think that Killer Poop did poo better than Pooh Blood.
Agreed.
I mean, with the mask in the first one, that was actually an already pre-existing mask that they bought off the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a cheap mask. It's like a $650 mask. Not that I've looked, but I mean, they had to work within the limitations of their budget. So
yeah.
And that does play in a lot. I do wonder with like the "Oh bother" thing if that would have been considered like part of Disney's version of Winnie the Pooh. Possibly.
I think that is a part of Disney's.
Yeah, because I don't know if that's, he says that in the actual novel, but I know he says that because I don't know why. That's why because I don't know what they could. That's the thing with the Mickey Mouse thing, because this is all Steamboat Willie. It's not about the actual Mickey Mouse character itself.
Right.
So there's only so much you can do when as far as what you have available in the public domain.
And the technicalities there, they get into legal stuff, and that can be so weird to navigate anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney loves to go, "We will sue you."
You know what kills me though? Like from a movie perspective, like when I've done collabs and reviewed their like Roger Rabbit or whatever, they were the only company that didn't have issues with copyright claims. But as far as the legal side of it, like you dare try to do anything that's remotely, anything with their characters. Hey, my kid died. He's a fan of Spider-Man. Nope.
Screw you. Fuck you. Fuck your kid too.
Yeah.
Fuck your dead kid.
Fuck your dead kid.
Fuck you and your dead kid.
The happiest
The most
place in the
magical
world.
place on earth.
Wasn't that a scene in Civil War, actually, when the mother asks Iron Man, my kid died because of you guys,
And he went, "Fuck you and fuck your dead kid too." And then the MCU ended right there.
Yep.
And we were all better for it.
And everybody clapped.
And everybody clapped.
How about you, Jen and Velvet? What are your thoughts on these recent horror versions of fairy tales and characters that were once owned by Disney, like the Winnie the Pooh and stuff like the Mean One or Mickey Mouse Trap?
Oh, we have no opinion.
Or the one that just got announced of the one based off the fucking Wonka experience for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, there's that too.
Why is that a thing now?
Because it works so well in like epic movie and date movie and scary movie 17 and
oh no.
It's as well the whole thing was generated by AI, and for some reason the AI generated a character called the Unknown that was supposed to jump out and scare kids. Halfway through the event, they decided to get rid of the script. So people were bringing their kids into this thing, not being told or warned that there's some person in a fucking demon mask going to jump out and scare the shit out of your 3-year-old. So,
See, I love that. That's the shit I would do if I was running that experience. Kids need to be traumatized sometimes. Early childhood trauma builds character, damn it.
That's what I've always said. As for the whole, for this
Public domain
and Disney and all of that, I'm not the biggest fan. Like, it's not my thing, but I tried to go in with an open mind with Pooh. But my biggest issue is that it took itself way too fucking seriously. And as I said in a review, I mean, you're a fucking Winnie the Pooh movie. I mean, fucking let's lighten up.
It's that one it's my favorite panel in all of like Batman comics where he's just talking to like Guy Gardner or something, just going, "My God, you're positively grim. Lighten up a little."
Basically, but the thing is like I feel like this was just a cash grab. This was it's just to get people, or it's get to people that aren't into horror to go, "Oh my God, we got to save the children," and it's just to get buzz. And I think that sets a dangerous precedent because now we're getting a shitload of these movies. And if it had passion, if it had heart, if it had a little bit of humor about itself, I'd be a little bit more. But I have been really hard on these movies because I think it sets a bad precedent. And as a horror fan, there's like people who fucking hate horror fans and think we're demented and evil people, and they look at these kind of films and they go, "That's all horror has to represent itself," and that could be further from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So
like I try to look at it for both sides. Like I understand it's so hard to get like any buzz centered around your movie and stuff.
Yeah.
So of course you're gonna get this. It's easy headlines to get, easy attention draw on your movie. Look at it work so well. Pooh, they got Fathom events and stuff, and was playing in more theaters than like a lot of A24 movies end up getting.
Yeah.
I get it from that perspective, but yeah, it just feels so hollow and so soulless and so cash grabby.
Yes.
Yes, film is a product and it has to be turned out for a profit at the end of the day. But
it's also art.
I look at the way I look at it is like you get those movies like that get so much attention and buzz and take away from other movies that actually do have so much passion and effort put into them. Not to say that stuff like Pooh doesn't. The effects work was decent. There was some good cinematography, surprisingly, but it just feels like it's taking away from other movies in the sphere and just taking up all the attention. It's just a black hole of like, okay, we need to give all the attention to this, and then it leads to other creators like, okay, well, the only way we can get a foot in the door is by doing stuff. That's how we get the Steamboat Willie stuff, the Bambi stuff, all of these.
Peter Pan.
Yeah, all of the rip from the latest headlines of like, oh, here's what's trending right now. We'll just do that.
Yeah, and you get more of the same. And horror is supposed to be a little different. And, not to say that we don't get into the same sometimes too.
Oh, yeah.
But,
it's an incredibly repetitive genre at the end of the day.
It can be, but then you get other movies that aren't so repetitive.
Yeah.
So it's a double edge. I'm not a fan, if other people like it, cool.
Yeah, that's fine as long as you're not a dickhead about it. Like I saw weirdly so much elitism centered around Blood and Honey, and I do not understand why, but so much elitism came out around that movie. Yeah, I was so weird. Like I saw several people like go after and say like, okay, if you don't like Blood and Honey, then I question whether or not you're a real slasher fan or you're a real horror fan, because this is great stuff right here. This is great material right here. I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? You elitist dickhead.
So you're saying you don't want to see Amityville James Bond?
That's
a fair point though, because like I say all that, and like I don't really say much about all the 7,000 Amityville movies, but I just feel like those don't get much attention as they used to anymore, unless like it's a really notable one. And even then, some of the Amityville movies that can be kind of fun. I genuinely really like Amityville Vibrator. I like it better than the original Amityville Horror, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. It's terrible. Every frame of it is awful, but I was so entertained.
Yeah, exactly. I would way rather watch that instead of the original Amityville Horror.
Yeah. But there was just something lacking. And I don't mean to keep picking on Pooh, but for me, there was just something. There wasn't any fun. There wasn't anything.
Picking on Pooh.
As long as you don't pick up Pooh.
I guess I should have phrased that better. Or maybe
your memoir is picking on Pooh.
Exactly.
Oh, you broke Triv.
Yeah, we broke her.
I'll break you the Triv.
Calm down, Divine.
It's the visual, isn't it?
Oh man, I did actually have a point. Like you look at Disney movies and like all the live action remakes and stuff. There was a thing from the guy that ran Disney's live action division that was like something basically saying, they're not really doing anything. They're not something I can't remember the actual verbiage, but basically saying this is a bad idea. And I feel like, and maybe the tide turns. Maybe we have to go through these terrible, or quote terrible, like, because obviously any of these are going to be, there's going to be good, like, horror versions of these publicly available pieces, and there's going to be freaking terrible ones. But you have to go through that to make people go, hey, this was an okay idea for 6 months, but now it sucks. People lose these references because the thing is, it happened, 6 months before the thing was made. Nobody has seen it, for 7 months after. Why was it funny? It's the same thing with Epic Movie or any of those.
Yeah, the turnaround to make a movie is too long for some of these. Like, if that fucking Wonka movie does actually properly come out and it just isn't a pitch idea or something, like, no one's going to remember what the fuck this was about by the time it comes out. It'll take at least a year for it to come out, and nobody will remember this goddamn thing. It was it's things people are already forgetting about. It's.
I mean, yeah,
that's
but that's
perfect, Dice. That's perfect.
That was my problem. That was my problem with all the live action stuff that Disney put out this time like that, because it's like you had a classic with The Lion King. Why are you going to screw it up by making a live version of it? It looked weird. Yeah, I know it's money. Yeah, I know the Disney machine.
They didn't stop to think whether they should or not. They're just like, oh, people liked this. They'll love this, right? Mm-hmm. Right?
It's like, right? You have to understand lions don't have facial emotions. You can't make Simba look sad.
What, lions can't talk?
Look, the other thing is, Pumbaa looks cute in the animated movie. An actual warthog in real life is an ugly motherfucking beast.
Wait, you're saying marijuana won't mutate a snake's DNA?
No, but gamma rays will.
Girl, your movie's about science. I trust that you're going to be like, you went to medical school all these years just to make that movie.
You spent 15 years studying the research of snakes getting high.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I know it's just the Disney being greedy because, it's like, well, what can we do to make some more money? Let's make live action versions of our Renaissance films.
Yeah, right.
That's why Pinocchio failed.
No, it was because he stared at a giant pile of shit for 15 minutes.
I know, right?
I think that the Pooh movie would have worked better as a porno. But then I think everything would work better as
every movie to be a porno.
That's true.
Blood and honey.
I know, exactly.
There probably is one out there somewhere.
Oh yeah, there is.
Most definitely.
Oh yeah. There's I think if I remember correctly, there's 3 or 4 ET porn movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a Reanimator one.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sitting here going, where's my Mac and Me porn parody? That's what I want.
I mean, the whole movie is a porn parody, really.
I mean, true, fair, yeah.
That wasn't
those mouths.
I need a porno where someone gets yeeted off a cliff in a wheelchair.
I'm sure there's got to be one out there that does.
Probably.
That.
Yeah. That's
Have
somebody's
Paul Rudd finance it.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
The route that
I just think it's funny how right when these characters become the second they become public domain, bam, there's already a movie out ready to go that day, the Mickey Mouse one, for example.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I feel bad because I'm someone who's always I've always hated Disney for how they fucked up the copyright and public domain system for years in order to keep Mickey out of the public domain. Mickey should have gone in the public domain 20 years ago or something like that.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago, yeah.
But they constantly gerrymandered and kept it out of it, and they messed up that whole system for so long out of their own greed. I'm always for the public domain, people having access to these characters. If the original artist can't profit off it, let everyone else. It's for the people. It's why do you think we get so many questionable but also really excellent stuff Lovecraft adaptations? That wouldn't exist if it wasn't for all of his stuff being public domain now. But because of how quick the turnaround is, and because of how low effort and just they need to get him out, or else somebody else will be the one to get that movie out, then you just have to rush, and you can't really put any of the effort that say a Stuart Gordon could with his Lovecraft adaptations of the 80s.
It's true.
I'm just waiting for the Peanut Tar movie to come out. Charlie Brown gets his revenge on Lucy for pulling the football out of his way.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It's just that old robot chicken sketch about the kite eating tree basically being Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, or a bush. You know, like in the metaphor is Charlie Brown's penis and the bush, and like
Okay,
the kite.
okay, stop talking. Just stop
I
talking.
could totally see Lucy being a slasher killer.
Oh yeah, no, she gets
Oh,
off
totally.
Freaking Angela in Sleepaway Camp or something.
I always viewed Marcy as the serial killer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh my god, I
Yes,
would
sir.
love that.
that would be decent. I would love Marcy being that.
No.
and Peppermint Patty.
Peanuts murder mystery movie, and it's Marcy and Peppermint Patty are the two that ends it, and it just ends with them riding off into the sunset together.
Thelma and Louise,
Yeah, basically.
but more lesbian.
Yeah, no, Peanuts, but bound, and it's Marcy and Peppermint Patty. That's what I want.
Let's make it
You want
It's a
happen.
good time, sir.
Fundraising.
You want me to kill this bastard, sir?
You're goddamn right.
Or it could be like Charlie Brown coming for revenge because someone killed Snoopy. You killed my dog, you know?
He goes and stalks the redheaded girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, like Linus's blanket, like turns into the Thing.
See
I'd
Linus
watch that.
choke somebody out with the blanket.
Yeah, I like
Blanket, you're my
that
only
idea.
friend.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that makes
You got a
Snoopy
problem
like
with my blanket?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John Wick, Charlie Brown.
They kind of did stalk the redheaded girl, come to think of it.
Yeah.
It was sweet though.
Uh-huh, yeah, that's what they all say.
I always felt bad, like the time he bought the girl the gloves, but she already had them. All right, guys. What about you, Marty? What are your thoughts on that in these recent, iterations of the old Disney characters that are now public domain?
I think what's been put out is shite. I've watched it. No, it's like Monty said. They could have done something interesting. They could have had it that these were the psychological manifestations of Christopher Robin and stuff like that. But no, they just went with a cookie cutter kind of fucking slasher. I'm not gonna hold it against anyone though. If they're like, oh shit, this is public domain, I'm gonna try something with this. Like, if my thing is, if they just keep on churning out fucking shitty slasher movies out of these characters, that is potential wasted. I mean, you could do so many other different things with like kind of public domain character, access to a public domain kind of character, like fucking I don't know, if you could do a Steamboat Willie anime where it's like he has to bring fucking children across some apocalyptic wasteland or some shit like that. Why does it have to be a fucking slasher? Why can't it be something interesting or bizarre or cool, like,
Because slashers are fun.
Probably slashes are cheaper to make too.
They're very cheap to
Yeah.
make.
Because I was just looking at, because it only cost him $100,000 to make Winnie the Pooh.
It was actually
And,
lower than that. It was like 90.
Oh yeah, and they got back, and the movie made $5.2 million. So that's yeah, I'll give them credit. They look-
5,000% profit. You make a sequel.
Yep.
Don't you think too that people expect, like, if you're talking horror, your average Joe is going to look and expect it to be a slasher film to some
Yeah.
extent?
Yeah, I think so. Like people that don't eat and breathe it the way we all do, I think would, or at least a good majority of them.
And that's not saying anything against slashers, but I do think that that's kind of the, you hear footsteps, or you hear like horses rolling by, you think horses, not zebras, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It goes to show you how popular the slasher is too.
Yeah.
It's funny how they just keep going right to that. I don't know what it is. It's just because it's easy to make a slasher,
Cheap and easy. That's why,
cheap and easy.
the turnaround between Child's Play 2 and 3 was only 9 months because they're cheap and easy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, Jen, I didn't realize you had puppies next to you. Oh my gosh. I
Two
just
of
noticed that. Aww.
Is
The
that what
thing
I was
is,
hearing?
there is kind of a place for that because I honestly sometimes I like the run of the mill slasher. That's kind of like why I like Thanksgiving because it was kind of the run of the mill slasher.
Oh,
I kind of miss
absolutely.
that from back in the days.
Yeah, because I was not expecting much out of Thanksgiving.
And I didn't get much.
No.
I wasn't expecting it, so I was pleasantly surprised about how well that film was.
Me too.
Hmm.
At least it had some creativity, playing off history and historical.
Yeah, and like I said, we never had a horror movie or a slasher film based upon Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What about Blood Rage? I mean,
Yeah, I would say Blood Rage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Something other than Blood Rage, but a lot of people forget about
Yeah.
that film.
Thanksgilling,
Thanks. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Nice.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah,
Pilgrim.
I haven't seen Pilgrim yet. But I actually, you
saw
talk about
the preview. I haven't seen the movie yet.
over the top, very very campy, but some funny scenes in Thanksgiving.
I actually really enjoyed that one a lot. It was when they have to sit down and have the conversation at the table, and the cop is in the turkey getup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. Almost like the drive-in, grindhouse. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts they want to share about that? Very, very interesting stream. Great discussion. It went very well, like I was hoping. I was just hoping not to get kicked off YouTube, because it's pretty heavy stuff we're dealing with. And I thought it came up really well, and I was really interested in hearing everyone's thoughts. And you guys did such a fantastic job, and very, very thought provoking, and I appreciate that. And nobody everybody very, very, you guys are so respectful, and I love that about you guys.
Well, you do a great job leading us, Sean.
And we had a fabulous guest too.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yes, indeed. Thank you for joining us, Mr.
Thank you.
Meathook. Glad you could
Thank
make
you
it.
for having me.
Great to meet you. Thanks everyone who joined us in the chat.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
active chat
What's
tonight.
the status of your film right now?
I'm sorry.
What's the status of your film?
Technically pre-production, but some has been filmed. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get
there's-
it.
There's a lot of again, it's super low budget. The budget's like around $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a lot of green screen. There's puppetry. So
Nice.
far, the biggest expense has been the theme song, which was like $200.
Wow.
Oh, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but yeah, it's there's been some stuff filmed. There's more. Some of the remote roles are turning their stuff into me next week.
Mm-hmm.
So partly filmed, but still the script's not even done yet.
Well, okay.
Great things have small beginnings. All the
Mhm.
best to you as you go ahead. Looking forward to it.
Excellent.
Oh, yes, yes.
It'll be awesome.
Thank you.
What else you got going on your channel, Mr. Meathook? Tell us about it.
The channel's kind of dead, really. I've just been so busy with other stuff between recently getting married and working full time and then working on a movie. I just haven't had time for YouTube.
Yeah, but if I haven't, I meant to say congratulations because I remember you mentioning that on Facebook that you were recently got married.
Yep. Thank you. We were our officiant was John Cassier, so that was pretty awesome.
Oh wow, the guy from Tales from the Crypt, the voice of the
voice of the Crypt
Keeper.
Keeper. Yep.
Oh, that is cool.
That is awesome.
And Marty, they lived really far apart too. Just to let you know that happened.
Yeah, how it can work. Yeah.
I mean, we don't live really far apart anymore. She's
Well,
like
not anymore,
20
but
feet away.
she used to. Marty would probably, even if we got married, would probably like, let's keep the ocean between us, Jen.
Jen and Velvet, what do you guys got coming on your channel? What do you guys got going on?
We just dropped it's been kind of quiet on our channel, but well, we finally got things back to normal. We are talking about a film that not many people are talking about called Stranger in the Woods. Not a perfect film, but a really fun one. It premiered on Valentine's Day. It's on VOD, and there's a lot to say with this one, and the performances, like the writing is a little heavy-handed at some places, and you're probably going to see the twist coming, but these actors are magic and really make the movie fun. And the movie has a lot to say about domestic abuse, and there's some really good stuff. There's some stuff to really chew on with this one. So definitely don't let it slip under your radar, guys. And if you want to hear further thoughts, there's a video on the channel now, and we just filmed another Tales from the Crypt retrospective, which will come out in a day or two. So
Nice.
Excellent. How about you, Monty? What do you got coming on down the pike?
Okay, well, like I said, I got my Women in Horror Month, so you're going to be see Jen do her stuff when I put that up. I got to do is say beware.
I talk about vaginas a lot in this one instead of penises.
Well, it's Women's Month. You know, you gotta play to the crowd.
Exactly. Yay, vaginas! Am I right, guys?
Absolutely.
Public once.
My review of Lovely, Dark, and Deep. That's up on the channel now. I'm trying to see if I can watch Lisa Frankenstein. I wanted to be able to watch that out because I've heard a couple of people talk about it. I haven't seen the reviews, but I've heard a lot of people are not liking Lisa Frankenstein.
I thought it was
Interesting.
cute.
It's on VOD, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on VOD.
Yeah,
You
it just came out on VOD.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see if I can get that up, and I think I'm trying to see if I can get Out of Darkness. That just came out on VOD because I heard a lot of people talk some good stuff about that. So I'm gonna see if I can get that up.
Cool. Very cool.
How about
And of
Marty?
course-
How about-
Of course, I also I got to do a trailer reaction called "Something in the Water."
Oh.
Ah, very
excellent.
cool.
How about you, Marty?
I have a review for the Star Wars Dark Forces remaster that was released. That's up. And courtesy of Jen, I am reviewing 2 figures. I'm going to hold off a while till X-Men 97 kind of is closer to being released on Disney Plus to review them because they're kind of connected with that. That's about it for the moment.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that.
Nope, they ruined a character who was in one single episode by making it woke. They ruined it.
Is that the butt
They,
thing?
they destroyed the entire integrity of the X-Men. They ruined Stan Lee's
It's
vision
like-
with this character he didn't
Yep.
create.
Oh boy!
Dag
it's
nabbit,
like-
that happens all the
I
time.
I mean,
didn't create.
first of all, people were claiming people were pissed off because they smoothed out Rosebud. Now they're complaining about another character.
Okay, the Rogue's butt thing, I completely understand. That is a complete disservice to the character. She needs that cake.
So asses are not woke, but someone being was it non-binary?
Non-binary gender.
Non-binary, yes.
Is woke. Okay, good to know.
Exactly.
I will keep that in my mind. Right.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Asses
Right,
are just something you either poop with or grab onto when you're having sex. Right?
Also good for gene for making
Thank you for
filling
pointing
out
that out,
genes.
Jen.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Good for that.
What would you all do without me?
I mean, also if
lot-
you're gonna
a
be
lot of
wearing
things.
pajama pants that say juicy across the butt, they really do need to have a little bit of junk in the trunk.
Mhm.
Exactly.
If
Exactly.
not, it's false advertising.
Exactly.
Oh God, Marty, will you be upset if you find out I stuff my jeans? Not in the front because I don't have a penis, but you know, in the back.
But at this stage, nothing would shock me.
Oh good, you won't be upset about the penis. Wait, did I say that out loud?
Oh boy!
This is an interesting one. This went in a direction I wasn't expecting.
Well, it's good that we can still keep you on your toes.
Hey.
Trivial Theater, what do you got coming out soon?
I did a collab a week and a half ago on the Hottie and the Naughty, which was but
Paris
coming
Hilton
up.
classic.
Oh God. Anyway, another case of the she's all that syndrome. Anyway, coming up next, I'm doing a collab on The Dragon Lives Again, which is a fantastically fun Bruceploitation movie. After that, for St. Patty's Day, I'm doing The Boys from County Hell.
Oh, okay, very
cool.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. If you haven't seen it yet, it's an interesting
I
film.
haven't. Going in
It's
completely blind.
That'll be an interesting one. I'd be very curious to hear what you'll think.
Cheers. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, gotta check that out. Just
Thank
make sure Dan doesn't blow up the theater anymore.
Oh no, I have anti-Dan things in front of and around the theater, so he can't get to it. So
It's called Armed Guards.
well, an armed pineapple. So
perfect.
Tell Dan if he keeps up, he's going to get a visit from the miser.
oh shit. Well, you know what? I will. I'll have to. Do you hear that, Dan? You better behave yourself, otherwise, the miser's coming for you.
Bat pussy.
Yeah, it was
something worse than bat pussy.
Bestiality with puppet dogs?
No, that he likes more than bat pussy.
That's true. Monty, do not give in to Dan's bribes. Do not.
I don't mind a good cheesy Bruceploitation, honestly.
Oh, this one was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I had no idea what was going on, but it was a lot of fun.
As with most exploitations.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. When Popeye shows up,
Bruce
you're like,
some have Bruce Lie, Bruce Lay, Bruce
Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee. Sorry, that's my attempt at opera. I will now be stopping.
I could do opera.
No.
Monty G is opposed to the idea.
One day, honey. One day.
Marty knows my nightingale voice.
Uh-oh.
Save it for the eventual horror musical stream.
Yes.
You have to do that on your own channel. You know?
Jen, I would gladly be on your channel to do that.
See,
There you go.
See, there you go.
Perfect.
All right, everybody. I think we'll call it a night. Awesome show. Thanks everyone for showing up and having a great time. And once again, great stream. Peace out, guys. Have a great night.
Vaginas, since it's Women in Horror Month. Vaginas. No baby. Wait, no. Like, should I do my lips?